Let me tell you why you're here.
You're here because deep down, you've always rooted for the underdog. You're here because you believe in the power of the human spirit to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. You're here because you know that sometimes, just sometimes, David can indeed triumph over Goliath. What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, a tiny island nation is defying the odds and challenging one of the world's largest powers? I know, it sounds absurd. How could a nation of roughly 23 million stand a chance against a giant with 1.4 billion people? It's like a mouse roaring at a dragon, right? But this is no fairy tale, my friend. This is the reality of Taiwan in 2025, and it's a story that will make your heart race and your mind reel. Picture this, a lush, mountainous island, smaller than Switzerland, sitting defiantly just 100 miles off the coast of a superpower that claims it as its own. An island that has transformed itself from an authoritarian state to a vibrant democracy in a single generation. An island that produces 90% of the world's advanced computer chips, making it the beating heart of the global tech industry. This is Taiwan, and it's not just surviving, it's thriving. But let me be clear, the odds are stacked against Taiwan like a tower of Jenga blocks in an earthquake. China, that behemoth across the strait, has vowed to unify Taiwan with the mainland, using force if necessary. It's not an idle threat. Chinese warplanes buzz Taiwan's airspace daily, like hornets circling a hive. You might be thinking, surely they wouldn't dare. The world wouldn't allow it. But remember, my dear viewer, the world has a short memory and a fickle heart. Most countries, bowing to China's economic might, don't even officially recognize Taiwan as a nation. So how does Taiwan stand a chance? This is where it gets interesting, where David loads his sling. Taiwan isn't just fighting with weapons and diplomacy. No, they're wielding something far more powerful: innovation, democracy, and sheer stubborn resilience. They're turning their very vulnerability into strength. Consider this, while China flexes its military muscles, Taiwan is quietly revolutionizing its energy sector. They're not just going green, they're going supersonic in the renewable energy race. By 2025, they're set to generate over 20% of their electricity from renewable sources. They're turning their coastal waters into clean energy powerhouses with offshore wind farms. It's like they're harnessing the very winds that have shaped their island to secure their future. But here's the kicker. This green push isn't just about energy independence. It's about positioning Taiwan as a global leader in sustainable technology. They're creating a blueprint for other nations to follow, a model of how a small island can become a green giant. And in a world grappling with climate change, that makes Taiwan indispensable. And let's not forget Taiwan's secret weapon, its people. Taiwanese society has a vibrancy, a creativity, a stubborn refusal to be cowed that's nothing short of inspiring. From its world-class healthcare system to its thriving democracy, Taiwan is a living, breathing refutation of the idea that Chinese culture and liberal democracy are incompatible. But make no mistake, the threat is real and growing. In January 2024, Taiwan elected a new president, William Lai, a man China has branded a separatist. China responded with major military drills, simulating a full-scale attack on the island. The tension is palpable, like electricity crackling in the air before a storm. Yet even in the face of this existential threat, Taiwan isn't cowering. Instead, it's reaching out to the world. During the COVID-19 pandemic, when many countries turned inward, Taiwan stepped up. They donated millions of masks to countries in need, including over 50 million medical masks since April 2020. They've provided aid to Ukraine, routing it through Central and Eastern European countries to avoid diplomatic complications. It's a masterclass in soft power, in winning hearts and minds. This is the paradox of Taiwan, a nation fighting for its survival by helping others survive, a democracy thriving in the shadow of authoritarianism, a small island taking on the challenge of global climate change. So why are you here, you may ask yourself again? You're here because Taiwan's story is our story. It's a tale of resilience in the face of overwhelming odds of innovation born from necessity, of people who refuse to be erased from the map. gap. You're here because, in Taiwan's struggle, we see our own struggles writ large. We see the battle between democracy and authoritarianism, between innovation and intimidation, between the power of ideas and the idea of power. You're here because deep down, you know that Taiwan's fight is our fight. In a world where the tide of authoritarianism seems to be rising, Taiwan stands as a beacon of hope, proof that democracy can not only survive but thrive, even in the most challenging circumstances. So lean in close, you viewer. The story of Taiwan is just beginning, and trust me, you won't want to miss a single chapter, because in the end, this isn't just about Taiwan, it's about all of us and the kind of world we want to live in. And right here at 5 Times Travel is where we unlock your travel potential and uncover the most fascinating hidden geopolitical stories. Buckle up and grab your virtual passport, because the journey we're about to embark on will challenge everything you thought you knew about global politics, innovation, and the indomitable human spirit. Picture this, dear viewer. It's 1949 and the world is holding its breath. The Chinese Civil War, a brutal dance of ideologies, is coming to its dramatic finale. Can you feel the tension in the air? The defeated Kuomintang, led by Chiang Kai-shek, is retreating to Taiwan, their last bastion of hope. It's not just a military withdrawal, it's the birth of a new era, a schism that will shape geopolitics for generations to come. Imagine yourself on that island, watching as ships laden with soldiers, civilians, and the remnants of a shattered dream arrive on your shores. The fear, the uncertainty, the defiance, it's palpable. This isn't just history. This is the moment when Taiwan's destiny diverges from the mainland, setting the stage for a David and Goliath story that will make your heart race. Fast forward with me now, through decades of authoritarian rule under Chiang. Feel the oppression, the stifling of dissent, but beneath the surface, something is stirring. The Taiwanese people, resilient as bamboo, are bending but not breaking. And then, like a flower blooming through concrete, democracy emerges. It's the late 20th century and Taiwan is shedding its authoritarian skin. Can you see it? The streets filled with protesters demanding freedom, the first democratic elections, the birth of a vibrant, multi-party system. It's a transformation so profound, so inspiring, that it challenges the very notion that Chinese culture and democracy are incompatible. But here's where it gets really interesting, where the plot thickens like a Taiwanese night market stew. The One China policy enters the stage, a diplomatic tightrope so precarious it would make a circus performer sweat. Countries are forced to choose, recognize Taiwan or kowtow to Beijing. It's a policy that has left Taiwan in a diplomatic limbo, a nation in all but name. Let me take you back to 1971. The United Nations General Assembly is in session and the air is thick with tension. Taiwan, a founding member of the UN, is about to be expelled, replaced by the People's Republic of China. Can you feel the shock, the betrayal? It's a moment that would have crushed a lesser nation. But Taiwan looks this setback in the eye and says, "Watch me," and oh how they've made us watch. Despite diplomatic isolation that would cripple most countries, Taiwan has flourished. They've turned resilience into an art form, innovation into a national pastime. They've become a semiconductor superpower, producing 90% of the world's most advanced chips. Think about that for a second. In your pocket, in your computer, in the very device you're using to watch, there's a piece of Taiwan, a testament to their ingenuity and determination. But it's not just about economics. Taiwan has become a beacon of democracy in a region where authoritarianism casts a long shadow. They've had peaceful transfers of power, vibrant elections, a free press, and now, my friend, we find ourselves in 2025. The tension across the Taiwan Strait is at a fever pitch. China, under Xi Jinping, has grown more assertive, more belligerent. Chinese warplanes buzz Taiwan's airspace daily, like hornets circling a hive. The threat of invasion hangs over the island like a storm cloud. But here's the kicker, the plot twist that will leave you breathless. Taiwan isn't cowering. No, they're doubling down on their identity, their democracy, their innovation. They're reaching out to the world, showing that they're not just a geopolitical flashpoint, but a force for good. But make no mistake, the threat is real and growing. In January 2024, Taiwan elected a new president, William Lai, a man China has branded a separatist. China responded with major military drills, simulating a full-scale attack on the island. The tension is palpable, like electricity crackling crackling in the air before a storm. Yet even in the face of this existential threat, Taiwan isn't backing down. They're innovating, they're reaching out, they're showing the world that size isn't everything. They're proving that a small island nation can stand up to a superpower, not just with military might, but with the power of ideas, of democracy, of human rights. This is Taiwan's story, but it's also our story. It's a tale of resilience in the face of overwhelming odds, of innovation born from necessity, of a people who refuse to be erased from the map. So, dear viewer, as you sit there and watch this, your heart racing with the drama of Taiwan's story, ask yourself, what side of history do you want to be on? Will you stand with the underdog, with the nation that's defying all odds, or will you turn away, pretend that this David and Goliath battle isn't happening? Now, in this moment, I'm about to take you on a journey through Taiwan's economic labyrinth that will make your head spin and your heart race. You think you know about economic power? You haven't seen nothing yet. Let's talk cold hard cash, because in this cutthroat world of international geopolitics, money doesn't just talk, it screams. And Taiwan's got a voice that could shatter glass. You're probably wondering, can Taiwan's economic muscle flex where its political biceps have been tied? Can it win friends and influence people when most of the world won't even acknowledge its existence? Lean in close, because I'm about to blow your mind. The answer is a resounding, earth-shaking yes. Picture this, a tiny island, smaller than Switzerland, producing 90% of the world's advanced chips. That's 90%. Through its crown jewel, TSMC, Taiwan has its fingers on the pulse of the global tech industry. In a world where data is the new oil, Taiwan isn't just sitting on a gusher, it's controlling the entire damn refinery. But here's where it gets really juicy. Taiwan isn't content with just being the Silicon Sultan. Oh no. They're playing a much bigger, much more dangerous game. They're weaving a web of trade networks so intricate, so clever, it would make Machiavelli himself weep with envy. You see, while China's been flexing its muscles and rattling its sabers, Taiwan's been quietly slipping into bed with some of the biggest players on the global stage. They've inked deals with Japan, that economic powerhouse to the east. They've cozied up to Singapore, that glittering jewel of Southeast Asia. And now they're eyeing the grand prize, the European Union. In 2024, Taiwan and Singapore took their relationship to the next level, concluding negotiations for a digital trade agreement. It's like watching a high-stakes poker game, with Taiwan playing its cards close to the chest and coming out on top. But wait, it gets better. Taiwan isn't just playing nice with individual countries. No, they're thinking bigger, much bigger. They're making moves to join the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP. It's like they're building their own exclusive economic club, and suddenly everyone wants an invitation. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what about China? Won't the big bad dragon across the strait crush Taiwan's dreams? Oh, my sweet summer child, that's where things get really interesting. You see, while China's been throwing its weight around, Taiwan's been busy becoming indispensable. In 2025, while the world's been holding its breath waiting for the other shoe to drop, Taiwan's economy is projected to grow by 3.1%. In a world still reeling from economic shocks, that's not just good, it's downright miraculous. But here's the kicker, the plot twist that will leave you breathless. It's not just about the numbers. Taiwan's economic strategy is a middle finger to those who thought they could isolate this plucky island nation. It's a declaration of independence written not with words but with trade deals and economic partnerships. And let me tell you, it's working. The EU, that bastion of bureaucracy and economic might, is sitting up and taking notice. Taiwan is the EU's fourth largest trading partner in Asia. That's right, this renegade province that China claims as its own is outperforming economic giants. But don't think for a second that this is all smooth sailing. Oh no, my friend. This is a high-stakes game of economic chess, and the risks are as high as the potential rewards. You see, lurking on the horizon is the specter of Donald Trump's second term as US president, set to begin on January 20th, 2025. And if there's one thing Trump loves more than his own reflection, it's shaking up the global economic order. Taiwan's central bank is already sounding the alarm, warning of the risks posed by Trump's promised across-the-board import tariffs. It's like watching a tightrope walker in a windstorm one wrong move, and it's a long way down. But here's the thing about Taiwan, they've been dancing on this knife's edge for decades. They've turned resilience into into an art form, innovation into a national pastime. While the world's been wringing its hands about the rise of AI, Taiwan's been positioning itself at the heart of the revolution. In 2025, Taiwan's real exports of goods and services are forecast to grow by a staggering 6.53%. Why? Because they're not just riding the AI wave, they're the ones making the surfboards. So here we are, dear viewer, at the crossroads of economics and geopolitics. Taiwan, this plucky island nation that most of the world won't even officially recognize, is rewriting the rules of the game. They're proving that in the 21st century, economic might can trump military muscle. But make no mistake, this is a dangerous game they're playing. One false move, one miscalculation, and it could all come crashing down. The dragon across the strait is watching, waiting, its breath hot on Taiwan's neck. Yet Taiwan isn't flinching. They're doubling down, betting big on their economic future. They're telling the world, you might not recognize us politically, but you can't ignore us economically. So what do you think as a viewer? Are you ready to watch this high-stakes economic thriller unfold? Because let me tell you, Taiwan's economic story is just getting started, and if you think the first act was exciting, just wait until you see what's coming next. The world is changing, alliances are shifting, and right there at the center of it all is Taiwan, punching way above its weight, daring the world to keep up. It's like watching a sumo wrestler trying to squash a nimble tech genius. China, the lumbering giant, flexes its economic muscles, but Taiwan, the plucky underdog, keeps dancing circles around it with its wizardry. Close your eyes. Picture this. It's a crisp morning in January 2025 and the air is thick with tension. US and Taiwanese troops stand shoulder to shoulder, their breath visible in the cold air as they prepare for joint military drills. This isn't just some routine exercise, it's a form of resistance to Beijing, a defiant statement that echoes across the Taiwan Strait. The Taiwan Relations Act, that piece of paper signed into law back in 1979, has evolved into something far more potent. It's not just ink on parchment anymore, it's a lifeline, an umbilical cord connecting Taiwan to the most powerful military force on the planet. In 2025, this connection is stronger than ever. Let me blow your mind with this little factoid. The US has just earmarked a cool $300 million for the Taiwan Security Cooperation Initiative in their 2025 National Defense Authorization Act. That's not chump change, my friend. We're talking about anti-armor equipment, radars, drones, long-range precision fires, the works. It's like Christmas came early for Taiwan's military, and Santa's wearing stars and stripes. But here's where it gets really interesting. Taiwan isn't just sitting pretty, relying on Uncle Sam to keep the wolves at bay. Oh no, they're playing a much smarter, much more dangerous game. They're weaving a web of alliances across the Indo-Pacific that would make a spider weep with envy. The Quad, that's the US, Japan, India, and Australia. They're forming a formidable counterweight to China's influence. And guess who's right there in the middle of it all, punching way above their weight? You got it, Taiwan. They're like the tiny underdog that suddenly found themselves at the cool kids table, and they're milking it for all it's worth. But wait, it gets better. Taiwan's got a secret weapon up its sleeve, something so powerful it makes nuclear warheads look like firecrackers. I'm talking about humanitarian diplomacy. Cast your mind back to 2020, when the world was brought to its knees by COVID-19. While other countries were busy pointing fingers and closing borders, Taiwan stepped up to the plate. They didn't just provide aid, they became a beacon of hope in a world drowning in despair. Since April 2020, Taiwan has donated more than 50 million medical masks to over 80 countries. That's right, 50 million. To put that in perspective, that's more than 2 masks for every single person in Taiwan. They weren't just giving away masks, they were giving away pieces of their heart. But Taiwan didn't stop there. Oh no, they were just getting started. They've been sharing their expertise, their technology, their very soul with the world. It's like they took the high road and found a shortcut to international goodwill. And let me tell you, the world has noticed. Taiwan's humanitarian efforts have opened doors that politics had long since slammed shut. They're building bridges while others are building walls. It's a masterclass in soft power, a symphony of diplomacy that's music to the ears of nations tired of China's bullying tactics. Speaking of which, let's talk about Europe and Africa. Taiwan's been busy there too, quietly but effectively building unofficial ties with nations looking for alternatives to Chinese dominance. It's like they're constructing a shadow network of allies right under China's nose. Take Ukraine Ukraine, for instance. While the world's attention was focused on the conflict with Russia, Taiwan saw an opportunity. They've become one of the top 5 Indo-Pacific nations providing aid to Ukraine, focusing on healthcare, social services, reconstruction, and infrastructure. It's a bold move, a statement that says, we may be small, but we're mighty, and we stand with those who fight for freedom. But here's the kicker, the plot twist that will leave you breathless. All of this, the military drills, the humanitarian aid, the shadow alliances, it's all part of a grand strategy. Taiwan isn't just fighting for survival, they're fighting for recognition. They're showing the world that they're not just a renegade province, as China claims, but a force for good in their own right. And it's working. The US Congress has called for Taiwan's naval forces to be invited to participate in the 2025 Rim of the Pacific exercise, the world's largest international maritime warfare exercise. It's like Taiwan's finally being invited to sit at the grown-ups table, and they're not about to waste this opportunity. But don't think for a second that this is all smooth sailing. Oh no, my friend. This is a high-stakes game of geopolitical chess, and the risks are as high as the potential rewards. China's watching, waiting. Every move Taiwan makes is a calculated risk, a dance on the edge of a knife. Yet Taiwan isn't flinching. They're doubling down, betting big on their strategy of military preparedness and humanitarian outreach. So what do you think, dear viewer? Are you ready to watch this high-stakes geopolitical thriller unfold? Because let me tell you, Taiwan's story is just getting started. And if you think the first act was exciting, just wait until you see what's coming next. It's a balmy January evening in 2025, and you're standing on the shores of Taiwan, feeling the warm breeze on your face. But don't let that peaceful scene fool you. You're standing on the most contested piece of real estate in the world, a geopolitical powder keg that could ignite World War III. Taiwan isn't just an island, it's the keystone of the entire Indo-Pacific arch, smack dab in the middle of what military strategists call the first island chain. Taiwan is the linchpin that could make or break China's ambitions for regional dominance. It's like owning Boardwalk and Park Place in Monopoly. But instead of hotels, we're talking about control over the world's busiest shipping lanes. But here's where it gets really juicy. Taiwan's proximity to China isn't just a threat, it's a double-edged sword that cuts both ways. For allies like Japan and South Korea, Taiwan is more than just a buffer. It's a sentinel standing watch over the gates of the Western Pacific. It's like having a loyal guard dog that also happens to be a tech genius, producing 90% of the world's advanced semiconductors. Now, lean in close, because I'm about to let you in on a secret that will make your palms sweat. Taiwan isn't just sitting pretty, waiting for the dragon to swallow it whole. Oh no, they're playing a much smarter, much more dangerous game. They've adopted asymmetric warfare strategies that would make Sun Tzu himself rise from the grave and slow clap. You see, Taiwan knows it can't match China's military might head on. That would be like bringing a knife to a nuclear fight. Instead, they're turning the entire island into a porcupine bristling with so many quills that even thinking about swallowing it would give China indigestion for decades. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like on the ground. Imagine thousands of small mobile missile launchers hidden in Taiwan's dense mountain forests, each one capable of sinking a Chinese invasion ship. Now multiply that by coastal defense cruise missiles, sea mines, and a civilian population trained in guerrilla warfare. It's not about winning a conventional war, it's about making any invasion so bloody, so costly, that even the most hawkish general in Beijing would think twice. But here's the kicker, the plot twist that will leave you breathless. Taiwan's geostrategic strength isn't just about military hardware, it's about something far more powerful, the power of ideas. Taiwan stands as a living, breathing refutation of the notion that Chinese culture and liberal democracy are incompatible. It's like a beacon of freedom, shining so bright it makes the lights of Shanghai look dim in comparison. And let me tell you, the world has noticed. The US, Japan, Australia, and India, the so-called Quad, are forming a formidable counterweight to China's influence. And guess who's right there in the middle of it all, punching way above its weight? You got it, Taiwan, and they're milking it for all it's worth. But don't think for a second that this is all smooth sailing. This is a high-stakes watch-out, or as high as the potential rewards as China's watching. Every move Taiwan makes is a calculated risk, a dance on the edge of a knife. Yet Taiwan isn't flinching. They're doubling down, betting big on their strategy of asymmetric defense and global engagement. Take their new southbound policy, for instance. It's not just some fancy diplomatic jargon, it's Taiwan's master plan to weave itself into the very fabric of the Indo-Pacific economy. And let me tell you, it's working. Between 2016 and 2022, bilateral trade between Taiwan and its new southbound policy partners grew by a staggering 88.2%. That's not just economic growth, that's economic jiu-jitsu, using China's own momentum against it. But here's where it gets really interesting. Taiwan isn't just playing defense, they're redefining the game entirely. They're positioning themselves as the indispensable link in global supply chains, especially when it comes to semiconductors. In a world where data is the new oil, Taiwan isn't just sitting on a gusher, it's controlling the entire damn refinery. So what does all this mean for you, viewer? Sitting there on the edge of your seat, it means you're witnessing history in the making. Taiwan's geostrategic strength isn't just about its location or its military capabilities, it's about its resilience, its innovation, its unwavering commitment to democracy in the face of overwhelming odds. It's about a people who refuse to be erased from the map, who are fighting not just for their own freedom, but for the very idea of freedom itself. As we stand here in 2025, the world holds its breath. Will China risk it all for a costly invasion? Will the US and its allies stand firm in Taiwan's defense? Or will Taiwan's porcupine strategy and economic diplomacy chart a new course for cross-strait relations? One thing's for certain, Taiwan's story is far from over, so buckle up, and while you are at it, we appreciate if you smack that big fat subscribe button and press the like, and share your opinion under the comment section below, because it helps us grow as a channel. Taiwan is standing on a knife's edge. Imagine being the most brilliant student in class, acing every test, inventing groundbreaking tech, and still getting snubbed at the school dance. That's Taiwan for you. A thriving democracy, an economic powerhouse, and yet still fighting for a seat at the global table. Let's talk about China, shall we? Their economic influence is spreading like a wildfire in a drought-stricken forest. It's not just growing, it's devouring everything in its path. And their wolf warrior diplomacy? It's about as subtle as a sledgehammer to the face. Trying to have a reasonable conversation with Beijing is like trying to reason with a hurricane. Loud, destructive, and utterly pointless. But here's where it gets really juicy. Taiwan's economy, despite all its innovation and success, is still tangled up with China like a pair of earbuds left too long in your pocket. In 2025, China remains Taiwan's largest trading partner. It's like being handcuffed to your worst enemy you can't run away, but staying close might just be the death of you. And let's not forget the military pressure. Chinese planes are buzzing Taiwan's airspace so often you'd think they were trying to rack up frequent flyer miles. It's not just annoying, it's a constant nerve-wracking reminder of the dragon breathing down Taiwan's neck. In 2024, the average daily number of cyber attacks against Taiwan's government network doubled. It's like trying to fend off a swarm of digital locusts with nothing but a fly swatter. But wait, it gets better or worse, depending on how you look at it. Taiwan's own political landscape is as treacherous as a minefield. The opposition parties just passed a budget allocation reform that's forcing President Lai to choose between cutting defense spending or slashing funding for popular domestic programs. It's like being asked to choose between your heart and your lungs. Either way, you're in trouble. Now, lean in close, because I'm about to let you in on a secret that'll make your palms sweat. Taiwan's international status is so ambiguous, it makes quantum physics look straightforward. They've been playing this diplomatic game for so long. Other countries have gotten comfortable dealing with Taiwan on a less than formal basis. It's like being stuck in the friend zone on a global scale. Close, but never quite official. But here's the kicker, the plot twist that'll leave you breathless. Taiwan isn't taking this lying down. Oh no, they're fighting back with everything they've got. President Lai is pushing for a whole of society defense resilience. It's not just about military might, it's about turning every citizen into a fortress of democracy. Taiwan's challenges aren't just about Taiwan, they're about all of us and the kind of world we want to live in. It's about whether democracy can stand up to authoritarianism, whether innovation can outpace intimidation, whether a small island nation can rewrite the rules of global politics. So what do you think, dear viewer? Are you ready to to watch this high-stakes thriller unfold. Because in Taiwan's struggle, we're not just seeing the fate of a nation, we're witnessing the battle for the soul of the 21st century. Taiwan, in terms of their future path, is wielding its culture, innovation, and democratic values like a finely honed katana. They're not just showcasing their achievements, they're telling a story as a nation, a narrative of resilience, creativity, and freedom that's as intoxicating as a shot of Kaoliang liquor. Take their digital diplomacy game, for instance. The Taipei-based Taiwan Digital Diplomacy Association is out there, guns blazing, promoting Taiwan's image faster than you can say bubble tea. They're not just tweeting, they're crafting a digital identity that's as vibrant and dynamic as Taipei's skyline. But here's where it gets juicy. Taiwan isn't just throwing content into the void. Oh no, they're targeting NGOs, civil society organizations, and everyday people around the globe. It's like they're hosting the world's biggest house party, and everyone's invited except, you know, the party-pooping Dragon China next door. And let me tell you, this party's got some serious VIP guests. Taiwan's soft power is winning hearts and minds in the corridors of power. They're gaining more recognition from like-minded countries, not for independence, but for their right to exist as an autonomous entity. It's like they've found a loophole in the geopolitical matrix. Now, let's talk trade, because in this game, money talks, and Taiwan's got a megaphone. They're expanding ties with ASEAN countries faster than you can say economic integration. It's not just about selling more semiconductors, though let's be real, who doesn't want those sweet, sweet chips? It's about weaving an economic web so intricate, so vital, that cutting Taiwan out would be like trying to remove a Jenga piece from the bottom of the tower. Take their agreement with Singapore, for example. It's not just some dusty document gathering cobwebs in a government office. It's a golden ticket, potentially paving the way for Taiwan to join the big leagues like the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. It's like they're not just knocking on the door of the exclusive economic club, they're picking the lock. But wait, there's more. Taiwan isn't just playing defense, they're redefining the game entirely. They're positioning themselves as the anti-authoritarian champion. It's a narrative that's gaining traction faster than a bullet train, especially as more countries start eyeing China's expanding influence with the suspicion of a cat watching a vacuum cleaner. Now, lean in close, because I'm about to paint you a picture of a future that will make wonder. Imagine you in the future. It's 2027, and right there and then China's economy has taken a nosedive. Their real estate bubble has finally popped, their tech sector is reeling from global restrictions, and their demographic time bomb has started ticking louder than a countdown clock in an action movie. Suddenly, Taiwan's stability, its economic prowess, its democratic values, they're not just attractive, they're downright irresistible. It's like being the only person with a lifeboat on the Titanic. Everyone's gonna want a piece of that action. Countries that once tiptoed around Taiwan to avoid angering the dragon are now lining up to sign trade deals. The EU, long hesitant to ruffle Beijing's feathers, is suddenly very interested in deepening ties with Taipei. Japan and South Korea, always cautious in their support, are now openly championing Taiwan's cause in international forums. But here's the kicker, the plot twist that will leave you breathless. Taiwan isn't just basking in this newfound attention. Oh no, they're leveraging it like a master chess player. They're pushing for observer status in more international organizations. They're expanding their unofficial diplomatic presence in capitals around the world. They're even floating the idea of a Taiwan Relations Act with the EU, mirroring their long-standing agreement with the US. And speaking of the US, they're not sitting on the sidelines. With China distracted by internal problems, Washington is seizing the moment to deepen its ties with Taiwan. Joint military exercises, once conducted quietly to avoid provocation, are now more frequent and more public. High-level diplomatic visits, once a rarity, are becoming routine. But don't think for a second that this is all smooth sailing. Oh no, my friend, this is a high-stakes game of geopolitical poker, and the risks are as high as the potential rewards. China, even weakened, is still a formidable opponent. They're watching Taiwan's every move with the intensity of a hawk eyeing its prey. Yet Taiwan isn't flinching. They're doubling down, betting big on their strategy of soft power and economic integration. Taiwan is quietly revolutionizing its energy sector, positioning positioning itself as a leader in green technology. While China's been flexing its muscles, Taiwan's been building an economic renaissance right under their nose. It's like they're not just fighting the current war, they're preparing for the next one. They're investing heavily in renewable energy, turning their coastal waters into forests of wind turbines. They're developing cutting-edge solar technology, leveraging their semiconductor expertise to create more efficient, more powerful solar cells. It's not just about energy independence, it's about positioning Taiwan as an indispensable partner in the global fight against climate change. But Taiwan's not stopping there. They're using their tech prowess to tackle other global challenges. Their digital response to the COVID-19 pandemic was a masterclass in crisis management, combining big data, artificial intelligence, and transparent governance in a way that made other countries sit up and take notice. Now, they're applying those same principles to other areas. They're developing smart city solutions that are being adopted from Taipei to Tokyo, from Singapore to Stockholm. They're creating digital democracy tools that are strengthening civil society from Estonia to Ecuador. It's a multi-pronged approach that's as brilliant as it is audacious. Taiwan isn't just fighting for recognition, they're making themselves indispensable. They're showing the world that they're not just a flashpoint in US-China relations, but a vital player in solving global challenges. And here's the real genius of it all. Every innovation, every solution, every contribution to global well-being is a silent rebuke to China's claims. It's Taiwan saying to the world, look at what we can achieve as a free, democratic nation. Imagine what we could do with full international recognition. But make no mistake, this path is fraught with danger. China isn't going to sit back and watch its claims over Taiwan erode. The risk of miscalculation, of a military confrontation, still looms large. Every step Taiwan takes towards greater international recognition is a step on a tightrope stretched over a chasm. Yet Taiwan isn't backing down. They're walking that tightrope with the confidence of a seasoned acrobat, their eyes fixed firmly on the prize of global recognition and having a bright future that will make many drop their jaws in wonder. Let me ask you, what's one current thing Taiwan is doing the whole world is unaware of? Lean in close, dear viewer, because I'm about to unveil a secret that will make your heart race and send shivers down your spine. While the world's eyes are fixed on the flashy headlines and saber rattling across the Taiwan Strait, there's a silent revolution brewing on this island nation that could change the game entirely. You see, Taiwan isn't just playing defense anymore. Oh no, they're orchestrating a masterpiece of strategy that's as brilliant as it is audacious. Picture this. In the dead of night, in a nondescript government building in Taipei, a group of Taiwan's brightest minds are huddled around a table, their faces illuminated by the glow of computer screens. They're not just planning for survival, they're plotting Taiwan's ascension to become the world's first cognitive warfare superpower. Now I know what you're thinking. Cognitive warfare sounds like some sci-fi mumbo jumbo, but let me tell you, it's as real as the ground beneath your feet, and Taiwan is pioneering it in ways that will make your head spin. Imagine a battlefield where the most potent weapons aren't missiles or tanks, but ideas, where victory isn't measured in territory gained, but in minds changed. That's the frontier Taiwan is exploring, and they're doing it with the fervor of pioneers charting unknown lands. At the heart of this initiative is the Whole of Society Defense Resilience Committee, a name so bureaucratic it's practically designed to make your eyes glaze over. But don't be fooled. This committee, led by none other than President William Lai himself, is the tip of the spear in Taiwan's cognitive warfare strategy. On January 9th, 2025, while the world was distracted by the usual geopolitical noise, Taiwan's presidential office conducted its first tabletop war game, simulating not just a physical invasion, but high-intensity, gray zone scenarios. But here's the kicker. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill military exercise. No, this was a test of Taiwan's ability to withstand and counter an assault on the very fabric of its society. Picture it, a simulated attack that combines conventional warfare with disinformation campaigns, cyber attacks, and economic coercion. The adversary in this war game wasn't just China, but a coalition including Iran, North Korea, and Russia. It's like Taiwan's preparing for a geopolitical Avengers Endgame, where the stakes are nothing less than the survival survival of democracy in the Indo-Pacific. But Taiwan isn't just playing defense in this new arena. They're going on the offensive, and in ways that will make your jaw drop. Remember those bright minds I mentioned earlier? They're not just strategists and military personnel. They're psychologists, sociologists, AI experts, and even artists. They're crafting narratives and counter-narratives, developing AI algorithms to detect and counter disinformation in real time, and creating cultural products designed to strengthen Taiwan's national identity and resilience. Think about it. While China's busy flying planes into Taiwan's air defense zone, a record-breaking 3,000 times in 2024, Taiwan's busy weaponizing memes, viral videos, and social media campaigns. They're turning every citizen into a cognitive warrior, armed not with guns, but with the ability to spot and counter propaganda. But here's where it gets really interesting. Taiwan isn't just focusing on its own population. They're exporting their cognitive warfare expertise to other democracies facing similar threats. It's like they're creating a global network of cognitive defense with Taiwan at its center. Imagine a world where Taiwan's expertise in countering disinformation becomes as crucial to global security as its semiconductor industry is to the global economy. A world where Taiwan's cognitive warfare strategies are studied in military academies from West Point to Sandhurst. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, but can it really stand up to China's military might? And that's where Taiwan's strategy gets truly brilliant. You see, they're not trying to match China tank for tank or ship for ship. They're changing the nature of the conflict itself. Consider this. In the age of social media and instant global communication, any military action against Taiwan would be broadcast to the world in real time. Taiwan's cognitive warfare strategy is designed to ensure that every image, every video, every tweet coming out of Taiwan in such a scenario would be a powerful weapon in the court of global public opinion. But Taiwan isn't stopping there. They're integrating this cognitive warfare strategy with their more traditional defense preparations. Remember those 400 land-launched Harpoon systems Taiwan ordered, set for delivery in 2028? Well, Taiwan's cognitive warriors are already working on ways to maximize their psychological impact long before they're ever fired. Imagine a scenario where China's military planners have to factor in not just the physical damage these weapons could inflict, but the potential global backlash from images of their ships being sunk broadcast in real time across social media platforms. It's a whole new level of deterrence. But here's the real kicker, the twist in the tale that will leave you breathless. Taiwan's cognitive warfare strategy isn't just about self-defense. It's about redefining Taiwan's place in the world. You see, for decades, Taiwan has been trapped in a diplomatic limbo, recognized by only a handful of countries, excluded from international organizations. But in the realm of cognitive warfare, official recognition becomes less important than mindshare. Taiwan's goal is nothing less than to become the global hub for defending democracy in the digital age. They're positioning themselves as the go-to experts for combating disinformation, protecting electoral integrity, and fostering societal resilience. And they're doing it in ways that are quintessentially Taiwanese. They're combining cutting-edge technology with a deep understanding of human psychology, all infused with that unique Taiwanese blend of creativity and pragmatism. Take their approach to countering Chinese propaganda, for instance. Instead of just fact-checking and debunking, they're creating alternative narratives that are more compelling, more shareable, more memeable than the propaganda they're countering. They're turning the defense of democracy into a cultural movement, complete with its own aesthetics, language, and symbols. But don't think for a second that this is all smooth sailing. Oh no, my friend. This is a high-stakes game with risks as high as the potential rewards. China isn't sitting idly by while Taiwan revolutionizes warfare. They're watching, learning, adapting. In fact, China's own cognitive warfare efforts are intensifying. They're working with criminal gangs, shell companies, and other dubious partners to gain intelligence on Taiwan's defenses. They're targeting current and retired Taiwanese military personnel, resulting in a major rise in espionage arrests. It's like a shadow war is being fought right under our noses, with each side trying to outmaneuver the other in the battleground of the mind. And make no mistake, the stakes couldn't be higher. Because here's the thing, Taiwan's cognitive warfare strategy isn't just about Taiwan, it's about the future of democracy itself. In a world where authoritarian regimes are increasingly using digital tools to undermine democratic institutions, Taiwan is positioning itself as democracy's digital defender. Imagine a future where Taiwan's cognitive warfare experts are called in to protect elections from interference, not just in Taipei, but in Paris, Berlin, and Washington. A future where Taiwan's strategies for fostering societal resilience are studied and implemented by democracies around the world. It's a future where Taiwan's importance to the global community goes far beyond its economic or strategic value. It becomes a beacon of democracy, a living laboratory for developing the tools and strategies needed to protect free societies in the digital age. But here's the real genius of it all. By positioning itself this way, Taiwan is making itself indispensable to the global democratic community. It's creating a situation where an attack on Taiwan becomes an attack on democracy itself. It's a strategy so audacious, so forward-thinking, that it's leaving both allies and adversaries scrambling to catch up. While the world's been focused on missiles and aircraft carriers, Taiwan's been quietly revolutionizing the very nature of conflict. So what does all this mean for you, sitting there on the edge of your seat? It means you're witnessing the birth of a new era in geopolitics, an era where the battles that decide the fate of nations are fought not just on land, sea, and air, but in the hearts and minds of people around the world. It means that Taiwan, this plucky island nation that most of the world won't even officially recognize, is rewriting the rules of the game. They're showing that in the 21st century, it's not the size of your military that matters most, but the power of your ideas. As we stand here in the early hours of January 14th, 2025, the world holds its breath. Will Taiwan's cognitive warfare strategy succeed where traditional diplomacy and military deterrence have struggled? Will they be able to turn their digital defense expertise into a new form of international influence? Or will the sheer weight of China's conventional power prove too much to overcome? One thing's for certain, Taiwan's story is far from over. Taiwan isn't just a player in the global semiconductor industry, it's the beating heart of the technological world. Every device you touch, every piece of technology that powers our modern lives, likely has a little piece of Taiwan pulsing inside it. Let's dive deep into this silicon wonderland, shall we? Taiwan is the epicenter of global semiconductor manufacturing, the maestro conducting a symphony of chips that power our interconnected digital world. But it gets even more mind-blowing. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, the crown jewel of Taiwan's tech empire, produces nearly 90% of the world's most advanced chips. These aren't just any chips, we're talking about the cutting-edge processors used in AI and quantum computing, the same chips that power your iPhone, your gaming console, and the servers that keep our digital world humming. Now, let's put this in perspective. Semiconductors are the fourth most traded commodity in the world. They're the invisible force driving our technological revolution, from smartphones to satellites, from electric cars to the Internet of Things. And Taiwan is the puppet master pulling the strings of this global tech puppet show. But here's where it gets really juicy. Taiwan isn't just manufacturing these chips, they're pioneering the future of semiconductor technology. In 2025, they're pushing the boundaries of what's possible, producing chips with a structure width of just 2 to 3 nanometers. To put that in perspective, that's about 10,000 times thinner than a human hair. We're talking about technology so advanced, it's practically science fiction. And it's not just about the chips themselves. Taiwan has built an entire ecosystem around semiconductor production. From chip design to packaging and testing, from materials to equipment, Taiwan has created a semiconductor supply chain so comprehensive, so efficient, it's like a well-oiled machine churning out the future. Take Hsinchu Science Park, for example. This mid-sized industrial park south of Taipei is home to $363 billion in semiconductor revenues. It's like Silicon Valley on steroids, a concentrated hub of innovation where the world's most advanced semiconductor technology is born. But here's the kicker. Taiwan's dominance in semiconductors isn't just about economics, it's about geopolitics, it's about power. In a world where data is the new oil, Taiwan isn't just sitting on a gusher, it's controlling the entire damn refinery. Think about it. Nearly every major tech company in the world relies on Taiwan for their most critical components. Apple, Nvidia, Qualcomm, they all dance to Taiwan's semiconductor tune. It's a dependency so profound, so all-encompassing that it's reshaping global power dynamics. This is Taiwan's silicon shield, a strategic advantage so potent it's changing the rules of international relations. Any disruption to Taiwan's semiconductor industry wouldn't just affect Taiwan, it would send shockwaves through the global economy. It's like Taiwan is holding the world's technology supply hostage, and everyone's paying the ransom gladly. But don't think for a second that Taiwan is resting on its laurels. Oh no, they're playing a much bigger, much more dangerous game. They're leveraging their semiconductor dominance to forge new alliances, to reshape the global tech landscape. Take their recent moves in Japan, for instance. TSMC is investing in new facilities there, aiming to establish integrated semiconductor research and production for cutting-edge microchips. It's not just about expanding production, it's about building a high-tech alliance with Japan and, in the longer term, with South Korea. It's geopolitical chess, played out on a board of silicon wafers. And let's not forget about the United States. The relationship between Taiwan's semiconductor industry and the US is so intertwined, so symbiotic, it's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. US companies have been funding Taiwan's semiconductor industry for decades, forming joint ventures, sharing technology. It's a dance of mutual dependency that's reshaping the global tech landscape. But here's where it gets really interesting. Taiwan isn't just serving the US market, it's fueling the growth of entire US industries. The rise of US fabless chip designers like Nvidia. That's thanks to Taiwan. The smartphone revolution led by Apple, powered by Taiwanese chips. The entire US software as a service ecosystem, it's running on Taiwanese silicon. It's a relationship so profound, so all-encompassing that it's reshaping US foreign policy. In a world where China is flexing its muscles, Taiwan's semiconductor industry has become America's ace in the hole. It's not just about economics anymore, it's about national security. But don't think this is a one-way street. Oh no, Taiwan is playing both sides like a grandmaster. While they're cozying up to the US and Japan, they're still exporting more than 50% of their total chip production to China. It's a delicate balancing act, a high-stakes game of technological diplomacy that's keeping the world on edge. And the stakes, they couldn't be higher. We're not just talking about smartphones and laptops anymore. We're talking about the future of artificial intelligence, of quantum computing, of technology so advanced they'll reshape the very fabric of our society. Taiwan isn't just at the heart of this revolution, they're driving it. They're the puppet masters pulling the strings of our technological future. Every breakthrough in AI, every advance in quantum computing, every step towards a more connected world, it all runs through Taiwan. So what does this mean for you, sitting there with your jaw on the floor? It means that every time you pick up your phone, every time you boot up your computer, every time you use any piece of modern technology, you're holding a little piece of Taiwan in your hands. You're benefiting from an industry so advanced, so crucial, it's reshaping global politics. But it also means we're living on a knife's edge. Taiwan's semiconductor industry isn't just an economic powerhouse, it's a geopolitical lightning rod. Any disruption, be it from natural disasters, geopolitical tensions, or technological disruptions, could send shockwaves through the global economy. As we stand here in the early hours of January 14th, 2025, the world holds its breath. Will Taiwan maintain its semiconductor dominance? Will geopolitical tensions disrupt the delicate balance of the global tech supply chain? Or will Taiwan's silicon shield prove strong enough to weather any storm? Taiwan's journey isn't just about borders or politics. It's about standing tall against adversity and proving that values of democracy, freedom, and innovation can thrive. Even in the shadow of a giant, the world is watching. Are you? You, sitting there, eyes glued to the screen, heart racing with the possibilities. Can you feel it? The pulse of a nation that refuses to be silenced, the heartbeat of democracy echoing across the Taiwan Strait. This isn't just Taiwan's story, it's yours too. Picture yourself on the streets of Taipei, the buzz of scooters, and the aroma of night markets filling the air. But beneath the vibrant surface, there's a tension, a quiet defiance that permeates every aspect of life. This is a nation that lives on the edge, where every day is an act of resistance against those who would deny its very existence. You've seen the headlines, heard the saber rattling, but have you truly grasped what's at stake? Taiwan isn't just fighting for its sovereignty, it's fighting for the very idea of democracy itself. In a world where authoritarianism is on the rise, where freedoms are being eroded bit by bit, Taiwan stands as a beacon of hope, a living, breathing testament to the power of the human spirit. Think about it, a tiny island dwarfed by its neighbor, not only surviving but thriving. While China flexes its military might, Taiwan wields something far more powerful. The strength of its ideas, the resilience of its people, the unwavering commitment to freedom that courses through its veins like electricity. You've seen how Taiwan has transformed itself from an authoritarian regime to one of the world's strongest democracies. You've witnessed its peaceful transfers of power, its vibrant civil society, its commitment to human rights, but have you truly understood the magnitude of this achievement? This is a nation that has faced down threats and intimidation, weathered economic coercion and military posturing, and emerged stronger for it. Taiwan's democracy isn't just surviving, it's evolving, adapting, showing the world that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the flame of freedom can burn brighter than ever. But make no mistake, the challenges are real and growing. China's influence is spreading like wildfire, its economic tentacles reaching into every corner of the globe. The pressure on Taiwan is relentless, a constant drumbeat of threats and provocations that would break a lesser nation. Yet Taiwan stands firm, a David facing down Goliath with nothing but a sling and an unshakable belief in the power of democracy. And in doing so, it's rewriting the rules of geopolitics, showing that size isn't everything, that the strength of a nation lies not in its military might, but in the conviction of its people. You've seen how Taiwan has leveraged its technological prowess, turning its semiconductor industry into a shield against aggression. You've witnessed its diplomatic dance, building alliances and partnerships even as it navigates the treacherous waters of international recognition. But have you truly grasped the audacity of Taiwan's vision? This isn't just about survival, it's about thriving, about showing the world that democracy isn't just a system of government, but a way of life that can flourish even in the most challenging circumstances. As you sit there, heart pounding with the possibilities, ask yourself, what does Taiwan's struggle mean for you? For your own freedoms, your own beliefs, your own vision of what the world should be? Because make no mistake, Taiwan's fight is your fight too. In a world where the lines between democracy and authoritarianism are increasingly blurred, where the very idea of truth is under assault, Taiwan stands as a bulwark against the forces of oppression. You've seen how Taiwan has embraced innovation, how it's pioneering new forms of digital democracy that could revolutionize governance around the world. You've witnessed its response to crises like the COVID-19 pandemic, showing that transparency and citizen participation are not just ideals, but practical tools for building a better society. But have you truly understood the implications of Taiwan's success? This isn't just about one island nation, it's about the future of democracy itself. Taiwan is showing us all that freedom isn't a luxury, but a necessity, that the human spirit thrives best when it's unshackled from the chains of authoritarianism. As you watch Taiwan navigate the treacherous waters of international politics, remember that you're not just a spectator, you're a participant. Every tweet, every shared article, every conversation about Taiwan's struggle helps to shape the narrative, to ensure that this beacon of democracy isn't extinguished in the darkness of indifference. Think about the Taiwanese people going about their daily lives under the constant shadow of threat, the students dreaming of a future free from fear, the entrepreneurs building world-changing technologies, the activists fighting to preserve their hard-won freedoms, their courage, their resilience, their unwavering commitment to democracy. It's a challenge to us all. What would you do in their shoes? How far would you go to defend your freedoms, to stand up for your beliefs in the face of overwhelming odds? Taiwan's story isn't just inspiring, it's a call to action, a reminder that democracy isn't a spectator sport, but a collective endeavor that requires constant vigilance and active participation. As we stand here in the early hours of January 14th, 2025, the world holds its breath. Will Taiwan's innovative strategies in diplomacy, technology, and democratic governance be enough to secure its future? Will the international community rally to support this island of freedom, or will it be left to face the storm alone? One thing's for certain, Taiwan's story is far from over. So don't just watch, engage, don't just observe, participate, because in Taiwan's struggle, we're not just witnessing the fate of an island, we're seeing the battle for the soul of the 21st century unfold before our eyes. The dragon may be breathing fire, but this island of democracy isn't just standing firm, it's evolving, adapting, daring to dream of a future where it's not just recognized, but respected and emulated on the global stage. In the face of overwhelming odds, Taiwan isn't just surviving, it's redefining what it means to thrive in the age of global uncertainty. So, what do you think, dear viewer? Are you ready to be part of this story? Are you prepared to stand with Taiwan, to add your voice to the chorus of those who believe in freedom, democracy, and the indomitable power of the human spirit? Because make no mistake, your voice matters. In this interconnected world, every of support, every show of solidarity helps to strengthen Taiwan's position on the global stage. You have the power to shape the narrative, to ensure that Taiwan's struggle for democracy and self-determination isn't forgotten or ignored. As you ponder Taiwan's future, remember that you're not just thinking about an island nation on the other side of the world. You're contemplating the future of democracy itself, the values that underpin our free societies, the principles that we hold dear. So, as we conclude this journey through Taiwan's past, present, and potential futures, I challenge you to do more than just watch. Engage with these ideas. Discuss them with your friends and family. Share Taiwan's story with those who might not be aware of its significance. Because in the end, Taiwan's future, and by extension, the future of democracy in the 21st century, depends not just on the actions of governments and politicians, but on the engagement and support of people like you. People who understand that freedom isn't free, that democracy requires constant vigilance, that the values we hold dear are worth fighting for. What do you think Taiwan's future holds? Will it beat China and finally be globally recognized? Will it continue to stand as a beacon of democracy in the shadow of authoritarianism? Will its innovative approaches to governance and technology reshape the global landscape? Or will the pressures it faces prove too much to overcome? So much for you. Share all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let's start a conversation about Taiwan's future as a nation. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. As the curtain falls on Taiwan's saga, remember, you're not just a spectator, but a player in this global chess game. Will you stand with the island of dreams, or watch from the sidelines as history unfolds? Taiwan's fight is your fight, a battle for democracy's soul in a world teetering on the edge. So, dear viewer, watching now, are you a brave traveler? As you journey always with 5 times travel, ask yourself, are you ready to be part of the revolution? To uncover the hidden truths that shape our world? The choice is yours. Like, subscribe, and join us in rewriting the future. Because in the end, it's not just about travel, it's about changing the world, one story at a time.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.